Well, howdy everybody, this is Steve at 1,000 Year Homes. I'm standing in the middle of a mesquite thicket, and mesquite is a mixed blessing here in Texas. For ranchers who want grazing land and people who buy land out here, mesquite will resist you. In addition to growing thick and all of this, it has multiple defense mechanisms. 3-inch thorns all over it, and if you cut it, it'll come back with more thorns, sharper, longer. But mesquite also is a blessing because the early pioneers, mesquite is what people used to eat off of. All the pods that came off of mesquite, they could dry them and grind them, pods and all, into a flour that tasted a little bit like wheat, honey wheat. But they could also just drop the pods straight into water and shake it up, and then they get proteins and everything that they need inside of this little nutritional slurry. What they would do is they would taste the mesquite pod from a particular tree, and if it had a little sweet flavor, they'd keep that tree, and then they'd cut down the others. But down through the years, we've just started thinking of mesquite as something that we cut down and use for charcoal, mesquite smoked barbecue, right? Because this is terrible stuff to work with. All right, so in addition to what I just said about the good parts, you know, it's also a junk tree. It grows so thick it chokes itself out. I think that's part of its survival mechanism. The other thing that's very common with mesquite is it's a widowmaker. So this one that's down, if you take a look at it, and you take a look at that, and they're down. Now I drove by mesquite one day after a storm, and I wasn't on it. I didn't push it. I didn't anything. I drove by it on my tractor, and that mesquite tree fell on me and trapped me between the steering wheel. A fork and a mesquite came down on me on a moving tractor, broke a rib. So they're to be respected and feared, and that's why people complain about them. The thorns will pop your tires. They're an inch thick. You run over a mesquite, you try to mow them out of your yard, and next year they just got enough energy, they come back worse. Got to mow them a couple of years, and then they'll stay away. And if they're this big, you just have to clear. You have to cut them. It's hard. If you grind them, you can't use the grind for anything because the thorns sometimes don't get ground, and then your mulch has these thorns in it, right? So it's just a lot of problems for people, but I like them. I like them because they're a food source. Here at 1,000 Year Homes, I'm not just trying to make a house that'll last 1,000 years. I'm trying to make a homestead that will last 1,000 years, which naturally means having a food forest and feeding people. And I'm just going to do that which the pioneers did. I'm just going to do that which the Native Americans did. And they respected the mesquite and they grew it. So in my travels, Lee and I went to one of the missions out towards Goliad. It wasn't La Baha'i, but it was one of the missions. They had a mesquite tree as big around as any oak tree I've seen, and as tall and stately as any oak tree I've seen. So mesquite, given the right opportunity, can become a big, beautiful thing. This dappled sunlight in the hot Texas sun feels good. The cattle come in here and graze around. Now I'm in the middle of a drought, so this is not going to be green and lush. But I'm telling you, most of the year mesquite looks pretty darn good. It's a kind of a little bright green, live verdant kind of a green that's real stunning. So I'm going to go in here today. I'm going to talk about the little mesquite forest. So you see how the thick it is. This is after I've worked it once. I've gone through and I've worked it once. But then I'll show you a picture of a mesquite forest as I'm clearing it. Now this here is part of the same cedar thicket, the thicket where I couldn't pass through at all, full of greenbrier, full of thorns, full of dead, full of dangerous widowmakers. This is me in a season and a half, going in here and working at this slowly. There's still some trees leaning over that I'll clear. What I want is enough room that a tractor can navigate under there. I'm going to walk through this park-like setting so you can see how pretty mesquite can be, and you can see why I'm not just grinding them out and cutting them all out. I'm actually working with them. Now, in the pasture where I need a pasture to be pasture, I cut them out. Along the fence line, I'm going to plant loblolly, things that are native to me, and give a reinforced fence line, right, that has a windbreak and shelter and all that. But here in this food forest, the cattle and the horses come up. They eat the pods off the ground. I don't harvest them. They get eaten up. That extra protein still goes into, you know, making healthy animals. So I'm going to walk through here. Y'all can see for yourself that with a little bit of effort, you can end up with a park. And this is super rare in Texas.
Did you all know that? That the toms move in a little pile? I didn't know that.
Alright, so you know, I've wandered around. We're going to go in together, and I'll wander about. We'll talk about how long this has been taking me, because this is not, I'm a single solo builder out here, and also solo homesteading. So, but I do hire folks to come in, friends and family, and I try to work this stuff. Many hands make light work. So why don't I hire this all the way done? Well, the guys that do this professionally, I'm saving the mesquite logs. One, I'll use them on my sawmill for if they're straight enough. And I'll make mesquite dressers and things. Mesquite is a beautiful wood. It's like the walnut of the South, right? It's hard as iron when it dries out. And, you know, if I pay somebody to come in here, they're not going to mess around like that. They won't even take the contract, you know. They'll just say, no, we'll clear cut, and we'll grind it all. You mark the ones you want to keep, or you mark the ones you want to cut down, depending on what's easiest. But there you go. Looky. Very beautiful, right? My horses enjoy it in here. Now this was impassable just a month ago, and let's see, I've had Leah help me, I've had me, I've had Franz, I've had Scott. We've come out here and we've done this work. Per cluster of trees, it's every bit of 45 minutes. It's 45 minutes with 3 people, it's 45 minutes with 1 person. I don't understand the math. Maybe we just do a better job when it's 3 people. And so right now I'm here. We kind of do 2 cuts. We do a cut where we can get into it all, and then we go back and we cut it. My goal is to be able to bring a tractor in. So a few of these leaned over ones I'll leave for the charm, right? Especially if they're alive. But this one's a whole cluster of lean over. I've got 1, 2, 3 all leaned over, and not what I want. There's one that's sort of kind of up. You follow it down. I might leave that one because my headache rack on my tractor will clear it. So, you know, after I do a first pass, then I go in and I do a second pass. And I'm saving the mesquite here. You can see that. I'm doing 2 different things with it. If the logs are big, I'm saving them and I might mill them. And also I'm building a rifle backstop that'll end up with earth way in the back. So I'll be using the mesquite logs to make this big, thick, double thick backstop with earth between it, you know, so that I can safely shoot here. But also behind me, you'll see that I'm just using the mesquite natively. I'd call it a coyote fence, but it's actually called Hugelkultur. It's a German word, where you pile up branches in a pile, and then eventually you'll earth it over and you'll plant things in the crevices. Here I'd plant things that, and I'd mix the soil appropriately for spices is what I go after. Things that will last year after year. The benefit of this is it retains a moisture in it, right? And you create a little microbiome in there where you're able to control it. So I've cut canals in there during the rainy season. It floods through here, it floods through there. This one is in the shape of a half moon, and that's the shape of a full moon. So, you know, I'm doing something cool there. It's just not just thrown together. But I like the old pioneer look. These will be passed over once again, shaped when I'm ready to shape them, covered with earth when I'm ready to earth bag them, cover them, and then planted. And I'm not afraid to put in, you know, native things, Turk's cap in the mix, and, you know, morning glories, whatever I need to add a little spice right here. But that's how I'm handling my mesquite. Now, 45 minutes per cluster, and I walk through and I see 50 clusters, you know, that's a week's worth of hard work. And maybe even more, because I'm not really including the drive time to build the backstop for the gun range, or saving the ones for logging, running on a sawmill, or that work there, right? So just clearing. And it is dangerous. These thorns will pop right through. I also pop my tires on a regular basis. I moved a dump truck there. It was all aired up. I got around to the back, flat tire. I guarantee you I ran over a mesquite thorn. That's what I've done. So anyway, what I'm going to do is put you on stop motion. Going to pick one of these spots here and run you through it. Now, bear in mind, it'll probably be about 45 minutes of nonsense on my end. But we'll watch together while I reclaim a little spot of this park. What I'm going to do tonight, I'm just going to pick this area and I'll focus on that one. But if I'm off camera, you'll know that I'm cutting dead ones out of here. But let's focus on this one, because I take a look at it. Look, there's green stuff on the ground, but I'm telling you, this mesquite is dead. You look all the way up, they're all dead. Dead, dead, dead. They've got these garbage suckers that are coming up on the lowest branch, which again, they're just going to suck all the life out. I've got one not attached to that tree that's up. So that's why I do a first pass, right? The first pass is I get rid of everything that's dead. I pile it all up where I can get a fork truck on it, and then I haul it out and, you know, do one of three things, right? The bullet backstop, the sawmill save, if it's a big log, with some straightish boards, and then, of course, the hugelkultur. Once I get one row done around there, I'll do a second row on it, and that way it'll have a wider base. The cattle right now, if they want to get into my garden, and I got that hugelkultur, they get their big paws up their hooves and just scratch them down, make a hole in the wood and get through. So it slows them down, but I'm here to tell you, it don't stop them. It just gives me enough time to go, yeah, get out of here, go on now. Or not if I'm not home. So, but anyway, let's do stop motion on that one so y'all can watch me clear a little bit. I'll be on and off camera. Alrighty, so there you go. I waited for the still of the evening. So I'm still in the 90s. It's 92 or so. It was over 100 earlier today. Listen, I know in the stop motion it's going to look like, oh, bam, he just got it done. He should do the rest of the park. But bear in mind, that's 60 times faster than real life. So if it took 60, minute, then it would take 60 minutes, more or less, for me to do it in real life. If it's 30x speed, then 30, right? So that little bit of tree right there that you watched me clear, and now it looks pretty good. I'll walk over to it. I can hear the wind blowing in the trees. It opened everything up. It'll keep the lichen off of it and all of the critters. So, it's a good thing that I did, but that, took 45 minutes or so. And I got a whole forest of these. And that's first pass. It's a good first pass. I may never prune that one again. All right, so I may never, ever, ever come back and do any more pruning on this tree as long as I could get a tractor through it. Now, there's stuff in the ground. That's not a buried limb in the ground. That's more than likely a fallen tree. And I may get it out with my tractor, or I may have to cut it out. So, everything here I cut that was hanging over. Got a little cluster back in there where things are hanging over. You can't get a tractor through that, right? So I'm going to take a minute and clear that up a little bit. I don't mind one or two for the charm. But a whole forest of leaning trees is nothing but trouble. Plus you get little kids that will run out, try to climb them, and I don't know if they'll fall over, right? Hurt them. I wanted to show you this. Mesquite isn't like cedar. If you look real close right there, see the bugs? Right? So if I wanted to use mesquite, it's these crazy ants running around. Acrobat ants, I think they're called. And those aren't red ants. I probably think they're native here. But there you go. They're growing wings. That was a queen that just fell out. But if I wanted to use this for a dresser or run it through a sawmill, I'd have to heat all that to 140 degrees for X amount of time to kill all the bugs inside of it. That's the other part. It's not like cedar that resists, you know, insect infestations. It can get eaten. There's bugs that eat the mesquite. So, but that looks pretty good. Now, in that stop motion, you saw that I moved, you know, all of the, you know, mesquite branches and brush, because if I step on a thorn in the middle of this, even though I'm in steel-toed tennis shoes, end of game, right? Like, I don't want that. In addition, those little loose branches, if they fall and they hit your blade while you're running it, your blade will jump right off and you'll have to reset your saw, and it's just a big pain in the butt. So you got to gather them up in handfuls and get them out of your way. And I put a brush pile there because I don't want a bunch of brush piles I have to gather up with the tractor. All the brush is going there, but I don't mind a few piles of logs, you know, because they'll be too heavy for me to move if I stack all the logs in one spot. So a couple of piles of logs for sure. And, you know, there you go. I am definitely overheated. I definitely need a break. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then when I come back, there'll still be some sunlight, maybe. And I'm going to hit this area and cut out all the dead and clean that up. Well, look at that sunset. That right there is why I homestead, I'll tell you. And why I spend more time working outside than I do inside on that house. I'm an outdoor kind of a guy. Well, y'all saw that pretty sunset. So listen, I have a strict no working in the dark rule, especially with power saws, but I've got just enough twilight. I'm gonna go through this little area that's already been gone through once, like that tree, and then I'm gonna get all the stuff that's a lean over. You notice I don't have a lot of brush to cut down. All I'm gonna do right now, since it's late, I work a full-time job anyway, I'm tired, is get them on the ground. And then tomorrow at lunchtime, I'll gather them up. So I'm not going to try to move everything, but and I'll catch a video tomorrow of this work after I move it all. And you know, we'll talk a little bit more about that mesquite forest, because it's going to look beautiful. This will be like a park when I'm done, but instead of oak trees, there'll be mesquite trees. Yeah, sure, I'll have to maintain them a little bit, but you know, it'll all work out. It'll be just fine. So the first thing I have to decide is if I want to leave all of these fallen over trees fallen over or not. There's a lot of them. Let me cut the ones that are dead, and then I'll go from there. Well, it's officially dark enough that I'm not going to work in here anymore. Can't see if they're tangled, you know, and whatnot, but oh, I think I cleared all the dead ones out of that area. Then I'll make decisions tomorrow on the ones leaning into the sunset. Gonna make sure all my animals make it up tonight. Lost a chicken last night, a baby bantam. So no little body, no little nothing. Sometime after 5 o'clock, well, I was out here working. So my guess would be some bird or something. Owls migrate this time of year, and you know, they could fly and snatch a little teeny tiny nibble bit and fly away. I wouldn't even know. All right, tomorrow's another day. I'm going to get on that mesquite, do a wrap-up video on that. Well, let's talk a little bit. I'm going to wrap up this mesquite video. So anyway, I'm talking about how you survive and how did the Native Americans survive. And mesquite was super important. This is mesquite. It's a sugar mesquite. There's 3 kinds here in Texas. I only know sugar mesquite and something called curly mesquite or screw mesquite, and the pods curl up. But this is the one that's sweet. I'm going to rotate here real quick. So if you're harvesting mesquite, don't pick this stuff up off the ground and try to eat it at all, because the mold gets on it right away as soon as it hits the ground, and that would be dangerous for you. But you know, mesquite is a summertime pod. It's already passed in this tree, so I'm headed into fall, right? So what I got going on here is Texas, and it's over 100 degrees. It's already, I don't know, like 10:30 a.m. in the morning. It is ridiculous down here. It's just killing me. But we'll go ahead and take a look at where the forest is now. So Franz and Scott and Gatlin all came out, and they helped me work on this mesquite thicket. So I'm super proud of it. I'm going to rotate and we'll walk up to it. All right, everybody. So that was just a dense grove, and looky there, we could see real pleasant. So the goal is to be able to get my mower deck underneath there, right, and pass through and mow it. Mesquite is a nitrogen fixer. It's a bean, right? It's just like beans, and it will fix nitrogen to the ground. So if it's passable, the cattle will prefer to graze in there when I have grass. It is again drought-like here, so in a high-risk drought, in fact. But anyway, I've gone in there. You can really see the difference of where we've gone, and then you track it about, and then notice right about here we're done, and the thicket comes in again. Becomes an impassable tangle. In addition, by thinning out the mesquite, I get the wind blowing through it, and it dries up the mesquite, so it doesn't get all this mold and lichen on it, which will just kill a tree, right? So that will kill a mesquite tree. There's a bunch of dead ones in here. There's a bunch of live ones. So what I'm doing, as I said, is I'm going through and getting the dead stuff out and gone. Some of it I'm stacking onto my, you know, my hugelkultur fence. This one's a moon, and that one's a half moon. So I'll plant beans in there too for the fall when it starts raining. So we're right about here where we'll start picking up. Whether or not I have 1 man or 4 men, it's still 45 minutes a cluster of trees. But looky there, I mean, we're really moving. So I don't know, I have another couple of weekends worth of work to get that all the way done. And then I'll come in here with a pole saw and start taking out limbs that are dead up in the air, just to get a more of a dappled light. I'm in here in flip-flops, and I stepped right on a mesquite, and it's clear into my foot. Man, they are wicked things. Wicked. I shouldn't be in here in flip-flops. Furthermore, I think mesquite thorns are a little toxic. Maybe it's the mold on them. I think if you step on them and get them in your foot, you run a serious risk of sepsis, in my opinion. All right, looky here. Doesn't this feel good? So I'm trying. I'm not a prepper, and I'm not a man who lives with fear at all. I don't. Furthermore, I think I have an obligation to try to make society work and not think I'm going to escape out into the wilderness and get away with, you know, us 4 and no more, you know, me and a gun and a squirrel. A squirrel's only worth 800 calories, y'all. So if you think you're going to survive by, you know, shooting a few squirrels and, you know, pioneering, we're all better off making sure society works at the best level possible. But if I could get potatoes, milk, and eggs, a human being can survive on potatoes, milk, and eggs for forever. Well, I got the eggs, right? The chickens, I got them. But instead of potatoes, I'm hoping mesquite will fill that gap for the protein. This is a protein, right? Nitrogen. So then I just need something for the milk. I don't know. I don't have a dairy cow or a goat. Used to, I'll tell you what, milking your own animals, hard. Plus you can't go on vacation. So I probably won't do that. But anyway, this is Steve 1000 Year Homes talking about clearing. I got a neighbor down the road that's, in fact, I might drive down there to wrap this video up, that just brought in a guy to just chip it all, right? And it chips it all, and I think it makes it look bad. Whereas actually moving the wood and using it, it immediately makes it more park-like and approachable. Furthermore, I'm thinking I'm giving these mesquite a chance to give me the beans that they need. My horses do eat these beans, I'll tell you. You know, so that I know animals are. I've seen cattle graze picking them up off the ground too. Crunch, 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 crunch. All right, let's go look at that guy that just chipped a whole bunch of stuff. See what y'all think as well. Alrighty, I'm down here, and oh, it's not a neighbor's property here. This is a land developer, and he is gonna lose his shirt trying to chop up. Okay, listen, out here in the country, you could chop land up certain ways, but when it's long and skinny and little narrow road, this road can't handle traffic. Anyway, this feller here is out of Houston. He thinks he's going to chop up this land in a little narrow tracts. There's 500,000 too many houses in America, and there's tens of millions of secondary and third level houses. So don't just say, oh, I'm going to go out in the country and just buy some land and chop it up and make it a subdivision. This ain't Houston. This little piece of land out here. Listen, I'm in the middle of the road. And there ain't crap around. Nobody wants to buy out in BMF nowhere, but the land developers can't resist. So, but I'm going to show you the difference between my methodology of reclaiming the wood, picking the dead trees, and this kind of thing. Let me rotate. All right, so see, they just get a shredder in here, you know, and I ain't begrudging, you know, just getting a shredder and just shred it just to give people the idea, right? But take a look at that cedar splinters. Okay, they aren't ever going away. Those cedar will take 20 years to decay. So you run over that in your tires, and you'll be flattening your tires for forever, right? It's got all this stuff in there. You know, you got to chip it up smaller than that if you're going to use it. In addition, don't just think y'all going to come out, you know, a land developer going to come out in the middle of nowhere and just buy 50 acres and chop it up into a subdivision. I've seen a bunch of these out here, and I see sometimes they pave the land, they pave it, and I don't know what they're thinking. It's not COVID hour. There's too many houses. They're going to lose their shirt on this kind of faith in themselves. You buy an old shopping mall and turn it into a subdivision, right? Buy where people are living. Out here in the country, if you buy 50 acres, cut it up into nice 10-acre sections, put a modest price house in there. When I was 25 years old, 40% of the men 25 years old had bought their first house and were starting a family. Now it's down to 18. So 25-year-olds, only 18% of them buying a house. In 10 years, it'll be 4%. So I don't know who y'all think you're doing all this for. Quality and low cost is what we're going to need to do for the next generation kids. The houses are too expensive for them. And they don't want to be out here. There is nothing to do out here unless you're an old farmer like me and you love the turkeys and you love the woods and you love that. It ain't everybody's dream. It's hard. So anyway, now you see the wisdom of me taking my time. It's been every bit of a week and a half. It's well over 100 degrees here in Texas, so I got the time. But and I ain't giving nobody a hard time for clearing land. It's his land. He can do what he wants with it. But you see the difference, right, between a clear cut and just shredding it, you know, and actually taking your time and crafting something out of the wood. There's a whole different vibe, a whole different mentality. And in the end, I'm going to have a healthier environment that if shit hits the fan, I'll be able to eat mesquite beans, right, and do a little survival there without being a prepper or anything. All right, let me go on back now. All right, now I'm back on my own property and the little mesquite park that we're making. And now this wouldn't be practical, right? If you wanted a hay field, you can't move equipment through here. But for grazing, this will end up being a better solution. Honest, there's been some years where this has stayed green underneath here for way longer than when the drought was killing everything else. I know right now it's a little bit of a brown, right? That's what fall is in Texas. Everything just turns brown. There's nothing alarming here in the drought conditions, right? But you see that, I'm under dappled sunlight. The temperature is way different than that strip where he's just buzzing it all. And then I end up with, when everything's been said, I end up with possibility of making mesquite bread or the mesquite protein shakes, surviving is what I'm saying. And I'll let you all go out and Google all that, but mesquite tastes a little bit like a wheat bread. It's sweet if you get it right. You taste it in the spring, and you cut down the ones that are bitter and keep the ones that taste good. So it's just that easy. So, man, it's been hard out here in Texas for me to build a food forest. So I'm having to adapt to what Texas says I can put out here. And if I ever figure out how to put out pecans and things like that, I'll get those going as well. But acorns and mesquite, that's all I'm able to do. Real happy with those who helped come out and help me clear this far. Appreciate it much. What a difference between what's behind me where we're done and then when I rotate around and what's that it's impassable for the cattle. It's impassable for me. In addition, it's so dense it sucks out all the moisture, and the trees outcompete each other and end up killing each other. So thinning it out the right way for everybody. But I'm saying, if you got mesquite on your property, don't hate it. Learn to value it. Treat it as more than just something to turn into charcoal. I know it's a scruffy thing and drops thorns, and there's all kinds of negatives about it. But when you're here in Texas, you got to hold on to the stuff that's tough enough to grow in Texas. And indeed, these mesquites are tough enough. And, they're all outside of all of the missions, and they're just lovely as all get out, right? Big, they're stately, not oak size, but, they can get up there a ways, and you get one that's straight-ish. They can be straighter than that. But I got a few way in the back there that are, they're big around. And, I'm looking forward to moving this all the way out to get to those heritage mesquite trees. Anyway, before you get out there with a grinder, which is super easy to do, and if you just got to knock something out, that's why I wouldn't get anybody to bid this. Nobody would do it like this. They want to get out here with their machines and just, I don't blame them. Got to get to the next job, But my goal is something different, right? I'm building that hugelkultur. I'm using the wood. I'm even saving the big logs. I'll end up cutting them and heating them up to 140, getting rid of the mesquite beetle inside of them, or the ants, acrobat ants, and, using it. So it's a beautiful wood. Anyway, like, subscribe, follow me along. I do indeed like doing this kind of work. It's super hot right now. That's why I'm not working on my house. If I went and touched this tin on my house, it'd be well over 140 degrees, up to 160 sometimes. That just burns you. It's miserable to work with, for the very least. So, but in the morning, I can work from 7 in the morning until 10:30, and then I work at night and do some work. Every time I move a brush pile out in the back, I turn on the mower and I mow an acre. It's not in a race. It's just a little bit of a time. So this is useful for me. Anyway, like, subscribe, follow me along. Thank you much. Bye.